My girlfriend's friend was actually her ex. You know that gut feeling you get when something just doesn't sit right? That little whisper in the back of your mind saying, hey, something's off here. And you tell yourself to ignore it because you don't want to seem paranoid or insecure. Yeah, I ignored mine. And it cost me more than I ever thought possible. When I first met Lena, it felt like the universe had finally decided to give me a break. We met at a friend's housewarming party. She was laughing at something stupid someone said, and her laugh, man, it had that kind of warmth that filled a room. She wasn't the loudest or the flashiest person there, but she had presence, the kind that made everyone around her lean in when she spoke. She asked me if I wanted a drink, and we ended up talking for hours in the kitchen while everyone else got drunk in the living room. She told me about her job marketing, creative side, loved people, loved ideas. I told her about mine, a software developer who overthinks every line of code and every human interaction. Somehow, we clicked. The chemistry wasn't fireworks at first sight, it was quieter, deeper, like two puzzle pieces that didn't know they were missing each other until they met. A week later, she texted me. I had a good time the other night. Coffee sometime? And that's how it started. 2 years. That's how long we were together. 2 years of inside jokes, road trips, lazy Sunday mornings, and late night calls just to say, I miss you. She was thoughtful in ways that made my heart ache. She'd remember random details, my favorite tea, the way I liked my eggs, even how I hated when people interrupted movies to talk. She'd squeeze my hand in public, introduce me proudly to everyone as my boyfriend. And every time she said it, my chest felt full. For a long time, I really thought she was it, until Ethan entered the picture. I first heard his name maybe 6 months into our relationship. We were watching Netflix one night, some rom-com, and her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled, typed something quickly, and put the phone face down. Who's that? I asked. Oh, just Ethan, she said, waving it off. He's an old friend from college. We were really close back then, but he's like family. Family? I laughed. Didn't know I was dating royalty. She grinned. You know what I mean. We've just known each other forever. He's harmless. And honestly, I didn't think much of it. Everyone has old friends. I have a few myself people I talk to occasionally, maybe grab a beer with once in a while. It didn't cross my mind to worry, at least not yet. The first time I met Ethan was at a group dinner. He showed up late, confident, loud, that kind of guy who instantly becomes the center of attention. Tall, well-dressed, clean-shaven, with that easy charm that makes everyone like him in 5 minutes or less. You're the famous boyfriend, he said, extending his hand to me like a politician greeting a voter. Lena never shuts up about you. He smiled the kind of smile that feels friendly but also measuring, like he was assessing me. We shook hands. His grip was firm, too firm. Lena laughed and said, you two are finally meeting. I told you he's great. Right, Ethan? Ethan smirked. Yeah, you did. You've got good taste. There was a flicker of something in her eyes, a tiny pause before she smiled again. I caught it. Pretended I didn't. Dinner went fine, mostly, but every now and then, they'd slip into these inside jokes that left me staring blankly. References to things that happened that one night in college or that crazy road trip to Goa I obviously wasn't a part of. It wasn't malicious, it just made me feel like an outsider to a story they'd already written. When we left, I told her it was nice meeting him. She smiled and said, see? Nothing to worry about. But slowly, little things started piling up. Text messages late at night, sometimes past midnight. Her screen lighting up with Ethan while she was scrolling TikTok beside me. She'd laugh at her phone, type something, then put it face down. Once or twice, I caught a glimpse of messages that weren't inappropriate, just too familiar. Stuff like, you still remember that? I swear, you haven't changed at all. It wasn't cheating, but it wasn't what I'd call platonic either. I mentioned it one day casually. Hey, you and Ethan still talk a lot, huh? She frowned. Yeah, why? Nothing. Just seems like you two are really close. She sighed. Oh God, not this. Don't be that boyfriend, okay? He's just a friend. You know I love you. And she said it with such conviction that I actually felt guilty for even asking. Like I'd accuse her of something awful, so I dropped it. A few weeks later, she said she was meeting Ethan for coffee. Just catching up, she said, tying her hair in a bun. He's moving to another city soon. I forced a smile. That's nice. Tell him I said hi. But when she left, something in me felt uneasy. I kept glancing at the clock, wondering when she'd be back. She returned around 10 p.m., hair slightly messy, smelling faintly of his cologne. Maybe I imagined that last part. I asked how it went. She said, it was good. He's doing well. You don't have to worry about him, babe, I promise. There it was again, that phrase. Like she was trying to convince me before I even said anything. The weeks that followed were weird. She was still affectionate, still kind, but there was a distance I couldn't explain. When we watched movies, she'd be on her phone. When I'd try to plan date nights, she'd say she was too tired. Her laughter, the one that used to fill every room, now came out forced, hollow. I started wondering if I was the problem. Was I too clingy, too insecure, too boring compared to this fun friend of hers who seemed to know her in ways I didn't? That's when I started gaslighting myself. I told myself love means trust, that if she says he's just a friend, he's just a friend, that relationships don't survive without faith. So I swallowed the unease, smiled through the discomfort, and kept pretending everything was fine. Until one night, we were at her apartment watching a movie. She fell asleep halfway through. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. I didn't mean to look, but the notification flashed bright. Ethan, I miss you sometimes. It's weird. My heart stopped. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I just stared at it until the screen went dark. My mind spun. 1,000 questions, none with answers. The next morning, she acted normal. Made coffee, kissed my cheek, said she loved me, and I said it back, pretending nothing happened, because I wanted to believe I was wrong. From that day, I became hyper aware of everything. The way she smiled when she texted him, the way her phone was always face down, the way she'd flinch when I reached for it. I hated that I was becoming that guy, the paranoid boyfriend. But something inside me kept screaming, "You're not crazy." Still, every time I tried to bring it up, she shut me down. "You don't trust me. You're overthinking. Why are you trying to ruin something good?" And like an idiot, I apologized for her lying, for her hiding things, for myself feeling hurt. I told myself love means compromise, even if that compromise is your peace of mind. The breaking point came a month later. We were out at a small get-together. Music, drinks, laughter. I stepped outside to take a call, and when I came back, I saw her standing near the kitchen phone to her ear, voice low. Her back was turned, but I could tell it wasn't just a casual chat. She was saying something like, "I told you I can't right now. Stop it, Ethan." I froze. Before I could move, she turned and spotted me. She quickly hung up and smiled like nothing happened. "Who was that?" I asked, already knowing. "Oh, just work stuff." "Work stuff?" "Yeah, why?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to not believe her. But I just nodded and walked away. That night, she went to take a shower. Her phone rang again. Same name, Ethan. I didn't pick up. I just stared at it. My heartbeat was in my throat. Then the call ended, and a new message appeared. I didn't touch it. I didn't need to, because a second later, I heard her voice faintly from the bathroom. She was talking to someone. Her tone was soft, intimate, the way she used to talk to me in the early days. And then I heard it, his voice on speaker. Muffled, but clear enough. "He doesn't even know, does he?" That one sentence shattered something inside me. It was like someone flipped a switch and the whole room went silent except for the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I didn't confront her that night. I just sat there, staring at the wall, pretending I hadn't heard anything. Because once you know, you can't unknow. And I wasn't ready for the truth. Not yet. The worst part, at that moment, I still thought I could fix it. But the truth was already unraveling, and I was the only one who didn't see it coming. People talk about heartbreak like it's a sudden event, like something snaps, shatters, breaks clean and fast. But that's not how it happens. Heartbreak isn't an explosion, it's corrosion. A slow, silent decay that eats away at you piece by piece until you wake up one day and realize you've become a stranger in your own life. That's what it felt like after that night. After hearing Ethan's voice on her phone, whispering, "He doesn't even know, does he?" That sentence replayed in my head like a broken record. He doesn't even know. Didn't know what? Didn't know them? Didn't know her? Didn't know us? Every version of the answer hurt. The next morning, Lena acted like nothing happened. She woke up, stretched, kissed my forehead, and asked if I wanted pancakes. And I, the fool that I was, played along. I smiled, said, "Sure." We ate breakfast like two actors stuck in a bad play, pretending we didn't already know the ending. That day, when she left for work, I sat on her couch staring at her phone on the table. It was right there, one swipe away from the truth. My hand hovered over it. My heart screamed not to. But curiosity and pain are siblings. One always drags the other along. I didn't unlock it. I couldn't. Instead, I opened my laptop and searched Ethan Lena on Facebook. And that's when I fell down the rabbit hole. There they were, smiling in old photos, college parties, beach trips, tagged posts, 2017, 2018, 2019. In every picture, they looked like more than friends. Her eyes were brighter, his hand too comfortable on her waist. And then I saw a comment from one of her friends under a picture of them together. My favorite couple. My stomach twisted. Couple. I scrolled more. One photo captioned, "My forever idiot." The comments under it were old, mostly forgotten. But the ones that weren't told me everything I needed to know. "You two are perfect together. Still can't believe you guys broke up." Broke up. The room spun. She told me they'd been friends for years. She never said they dated. Not once. I felt like an idiot. Like the punchline of a joke everyone else already knew. The next time I saw her, she was humming to herself, unpacking groceries. She looked happy, and I couldn't decide what hurt more, the betrayal or the fact that she looked so damn normal while I was unraveling inside. "Hey," I said quietly, "can I ask you something?" She turned, smiling. "Of course. How long have you known Ethan?" Her smile didn't waver. "Since college." "Why?" I nodded. "You two ever date?" That's when her face changed. Just a flicker. But it was enough. She blinked twice, took a deep breath and said, "Why would you ask that?" "I saw some old photos," I said. My voice was steady. Too steady. Comments. People saying you were a couple. For a moment she didn't speak. She just stared at me, eyes darting, brain calculating. Then she sighed. "Okay, yeah, we dated. Briefly. It wasn't serious." "How briefly?" "A few months. Ages ago." "You never thought to tell me?" She dropped the bag of groceries on the counter, frustrated. "Oh my God, why are you making this a big deal? It was nothing. I didn't tell you because it doesn't matter." "It matters to me," I said softly. "Well, it shouldn't." Her voice cracked shut. Tears filled her eyes. "I didn't want to make you uncomfortable, okay? You're the one I love now. Ethan's just a friend. Please don't make this something it's not." And then she started crying real tears. Not the manipulative kind, not fake. She looked genuinely scared. And because I loved her, I folded. I hugged her. Said I was sorry for bringing it up. Said I trusted her. And I meant it, or at least I wanted to. But deep down, something broke that day. A quiet fracture in the foundation we built everything on. The next few weeks were weird. We went back to normal, but it wasn't the same. There was a stiffness between us like we were walking on eggshells. Ethan still texted, still called, still lingered, like a shadow in the corner of our relationship. Every time her phone lit up with his name, my stomach twisted. Every time she smiled at her screen, I wondered if I was losing her inch by inch. She started pulling away. No more morning texts. No more random I love yous, just silence wrapped in polite affection. And when I tried to talk about it, she'd snap. Why are you so cold lately? You're being paranoid again. I told you nothing's going on. I'd apologize again. Then go home and sit in my car, gripping the steering wheel like it could hold my breaking heart together. That's when I started writing. Not for her, not for closure. Just for me. Every night before bed, I'd open a blank page on my laptop and pour my confusion out. Day 12. She smiled when he texted again. I tried not to notice. Day 17. I think she's falling out of love with me. Or maybe she already has. Day 20. I don't know who I'm fighting anymore. Her, him, or my own mind. Writing was the only place I could be honest. Because in real life, I was too afraid to admit the truth. That I was losing her. That maybe I'd already lost her. Then came the night that confirmed everything. We were at my apartment. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, head resting on my shoulder, soft music playing. For a while, I just stared at her, wondering how something so beautiful could hurt so much. Then her phone buzzed. Normally, I'd ignore it, but that night, I couldn't. It lit up once. Then again. Then again. Curiosity turned to dread. I looked down, just one message on the lock screen. From Ethan. I miss you too. Not, I miss you too. That meant she said it first. The world went quiet. My chest felt tight like all the air had been sucked out of the room. I didn't open it. Didn't wake her. Didn't throw the phone across the room even though every part of me wanted to. I just sat there, frozen. Watching the person I love most in the world sleep peacefully beside me while my entire heart caved in. The next morning, I pretended everything was fine. She kissed me goodbye. Told me she'd text me later. I smiled. Said I loved her. But the words felt empty leaving my mouth. When the door closed behind her, I sat on the couch for hours. Staring. Thinking. There's this weird moment in every relationship where you realize love isn't enough. Where no matter how much you give, how much you forgive, it just stops being enough. That morning, I finally reached that point. In the days that followed, I went back to my journal, typing, deleting, retyping. Trying to make sense of what I'd become. A man who once believed in love. Now just a ghost haunting his own relationship. Day 33. I saw her laugh today. Not with me. With her phone. I wish I could unhear that sound. Day 38. I told her I missed her. She said she was busy. She didn't say it back. Day 40. Maybe Ethan never left. Maybe he just changed titles. Every word was a bruise I couldn't hide. Looking back, I think part of me still hoped she'd choose me. That she'd realize what she was risking. What she was breaking. But hope is cruel like that. It keeps you standing in a burning house, convincing yourself the flames are just warm light. And as much as I wanted to believe otherwise, Ethan wasn't just her friend. He was the ghost between us, the reminder of everything I wasn't, everything I couldn't be. And the more I tried to fight him, the more I realized she wasn't fighting for me. I wish I could say I walked away then, that I had enough self-respect to end it, but I didn't. I stayed, loved harder, hoped she'd notice. But when someone's already halfway out the door, your love just sounds like noise they're trying to escape. And I didn't know it then, but the end was already written. I just hadn't read it yet. You know when your gut already knows the answer, but your heart keeps dragging you back to hope? That's where I was. After that night, after I saw the message pop up on her phone that said, I miss you too, something inside me cracked. Not loudly, not like a plate shattering against the floor, more like a quiet snap. The kind you don't notice until the whole structure starts collapsing. Lena slept next to me that night, breathing softly, her face buried in the pillow like nothing in the world was wrong. I laid there, staring at the faint light from her phone screen until it went black again, wondering who the two belonged to, wondering how long she'd been missing someone that wasn't me. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Not again. I'd done that before and she always made me feel stupid for it, made me question my own perception. So this time, I decided I wouldn't accuse. I'd find out. The next morning, I acted normal. Made her coffee like usual, 2 sugars, oat milk, no foam. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "You're too good to me." And that line hit different now, because I started wondering if it meant, "You're too good to notice." When she left for work, I sat there staring at my laptop screen for an hour, pretending to work while my mind spun like a roulette wheel of doubts. Eventually, I gave in to the thing I swore I'd never do. I started digging. It wasn't even hard. I started with social media, scrolling through old posts, tagged photos, stories she'd archived. It's crazy how much of someone's history you can still see if you know where to look. There were photos of them together, Lena and Ethan in college. At first glance, they looked like best friends, like she'd said. But the longer I stared, the less platonic it felt. The way she leaned into him, the way his hand rested just a little too close to her hip, the way her eyes sparkled, that look she used to give me. Then I saw a comment from years ago. "Can't believe you're leaving me for the city. Gonna miss us." Her reply, "You'll always have a part of me, idiot." I felt that like a gut punch. She had told me they were just college buddies. Not this. That night, I texted a mutual friend, Kayla. She's the kind of person who accidentally spills truth when you least expect it. So I asked, casual as I could, "Hey, random question, did Lena and Ethan ever, date back in college? Someone mentioned it and I got curious." Kayla's reply came fast. "LOL, yeah, for a bit. I thought you knew. They were basically inseparable." Why? My stomach dropped. I stared at that message for a long time before typing back. "Oh, no reason. She just never mentioned it." Kayla responded with a voice. No, a few minutes later, one of those where people think they're whispering, but their words land like grenades. They were really intense, you know? On and off. People thought they'd end up together, but he cheated or she cheated. I forget who it got messy. I'm surprised she's even friends with him now. I didn't even reply. I just locked my phone and sat in the dark, the hum of the fridge sounding louder than it ever had. The next day, I confronted Lena. We were sitting on the couch. She was scrolling through her phone, smiling at something on TikTok. I remember thinking how easy it looked for her to sit there, laughing while I was drowning in doubt. Hey, I started quietly. Can I ask you something? She looked up, still half smiling. Yeah, what's up? Did you and Ethan ever date? Her smile froze just for a second, but I saw it, that flicker of panic. She blinked, set her phone down slowly. Why are you asking that? I was talking to Kayla. She mentioned it. I didn't know. Lena took a breath, her eyes darting away. It was years ago, okay? Barely even a thing. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to feel weird about it. You mean the guy who still texts you at midnight? The guy who says he misses you? Her face hardened. You went through my phone? His message just popped up. I didn't go looking. She groaned, running a hand through her hair. God, you're being paranoid again. I'm being lied to, Lena. That shut her up. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. She just stared at the floor. Then tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry, okay? I should have told you. I just didn't want to lose you over something that didn't matter anymore. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Her voice cracked. Her shoulders trembled. It looked real, but something about that apology felt rehearsed, like she'd practiced it for the day I'd eventually find out. She reached for my hand, but I pulled back. I just need some air, I said. I walked outside, sat on the porch, and stared at the streetlights flickering over the empty road. Everything felt unreal. 2 years of memories suddenly looked different through this new lens. Every inside joke, every late catch-up with Ethan, every time she brushed off my questions, it all formed a pattern I didn't want to see before. The next few days were quiet, too quiet. Lena was trying hard, making breakfast, texting me sweet things during the day, even suggesting we take a weekend trip together. But there was a stiffness in everything she did, a sort of guilt trying to wear the mask of normalcy. And me? I was pretending too, pretending I could trust again, pretending her touch didn't make me flinch a little, pretending her phone lighting up didn't send a spike of adrenaline through my chest. I started journaling again, something I hadn't done since college. Day 1. I don't know what's real anymore. I want to forgive her, but I can't stop imagining him when she smiles. I hate that my mind won't shut up. Day 4. She's distant again, says she's tired, says work's been stressful, but I know when she's lying. She blinks twice, looks down, then says something to change the subject. Day 7. I caught her scrolling through old photos today. She said she was organizing her gallery. Ethan's name was in the album titles. The more I wrote, the clearer it became. I wasn't crazy. I was just avoiding the truth. About 2 weeks later, the final straw came out of nowhere. I was working late in the study, headphones on, when I heard her phone buzz on the couch behind me. I ignored it at first, but it buzzed again, then again. I turned around and the screen lit up. Ethan, I miss you too. Then a follow-up. Ethan, when can I see you again? My chest went numb. I didn't even think. I just picked up the phone and walked to the bedroom. Lena was half asleep, curled under the blanket. I turned on the lamp. She squinted. Babe, what's wrong? I showed her the screen. What's this? She froze. Her eyes darted to the phone, then to me. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is. She sat up, rubbing her forehead. He's just going through a breakup. He's emotional. I didn't want to make things worse by being rude. So you told him you miss him too? Her lips parted, but no words came out. I waited. Nothing. Finally, she whispered, it didn't mean anything. And that was the moment I realized she didn't even have a good lie prepared anymore. She was just tired of pretending. For days after that, I was quiet. Not cold, just quiet. The kind of silence that scares people because it's too calm. I stopped asking questions. I stopped reacting. I just started collecting screenshots, call logs, receipts from that cafe downtown where she'd said she was meeting a client. Every piece fit perfectly into the puzzle I didn't want to complete. Then, one night, my friend Sam, the one who's brutally honest to a fault, sent me something. A photo. Lena and Ethan, sitting together at that same cafe, her hand on his eyes on her, and that smile, the one I hadn't seen directed at me in months. Under the photo, Sam had written, Bro, I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but you deserve better. I stared at it for maybe 10 minutes before saving it to my folder. My hands were shaking, but my mind was steady. For the first time, I wasn't confused anymore. I knew. That night, I walked into the living room where Lena was watching TV. Can we talk? I asked. She muted the show and looked up. Sure. I sat down across from her, pulled out my phone and opened the photo. I didn't say a word. Just turned the screen toward her. Her face went pale. It's not. Don't, I said quietly. Just don't. Her eyes welled up instantly. I swear it wasn't planned. We talked and it happened and so happened. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing. It was one time I was confused. We reconnected emotionally and I crossed the line. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just sat there. No anger, no yelling, just an empty ache. Why didn't you tell me? I finally asked. Because I didn't want to lose you. She cried. I nodded slowly. But you already did. I didn't pack that night. Didn't storm out. Didn't slam doors. I just walked outside into the quiet street and sat in my car. It was midnight. The streetlights cast soft orange glows on the pavement. I pulled out my phone, opened a photo of us from our trip to the mountains, the one where she kissed my cheek and said, You're my forever. I stared at it for a long time, my reflection staring back from the glass until I whispered the only words that made sense. I wish I never met you. And in that moment, it wasn't anger anymore. It was grief. The kind that doesn't scream, it just sits heavy in your chest like a stone you'll carry for years. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just changes who you are. Breakups don't end the moment someone walks out the door. They end in 1,000 small ways, in the quiet mornings when you wake up reaching for someone who's not there, in the moments you catch yourself smiling at a memory before remembering how it really ended. After I walked out that night, everything around me felt wrong. My apartment was too quiet, my bed too big, my phone too silent except for her messages. At first I ignored them. Then I muted her. Then I blocked her number. But grief has a way of slipping through even the strongest filters. The first week felt like withdrawal. I'd wake up instinctively, checking my phone, expecting a good morning text that wasn't there. I'd pour coffee and catch myself making 2 cups before realizing there was no one else to drink the other. Her scent was still everywhere. On my hoodie, on the pillow, even on the blanket she'd always steal because she said mine felt warmer. So I started purging. I bagged up everything, her toothbrush, her sweater, the framed photos, the little love notes she used to leave on the fridge. Each item felt like pulling a splinter out of my skin, tiny, painful, but necessary. I didn't throw them away. I couldn't. Not yet. I shoved them all in a box, taped it shut, and shoved it into the back of my closet, like I could trap the pain inside it too. She texted again a few days later. Lena, please, can we talk? Just once? Lena, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt you. Lena, you don't understand how sorry I am. I stared at the messages for a long time, thumb hovering over reply. But what was there left to say? She wasn't sorry she did it. She was sorry she got caught. So I put my phone face down and went for a run. That became my pattern. Every time the grief hit, I ran. When the anger boiled, I lifted. When the loneliness crept in, I worked. If pain wanted to live rent-free in my head, I was going to make it pay in sweat. It started small 30-minute jogs, late nights at the gym, meal prepping instead of ordering takeout. But those little things built momentum. I remember the first morning I looked in the mirror and didn't see the guy who'd been betrayed, just a man trying to rebuild. My eyes weren't as heavy, my shoulders didn't slump as much. Therapy helped too. It was weird at first, sitting across from a stranger and admitting how badly I'd lost myself in that relationship. How much of my self-worth was tied to keeping her happy. My therapist, an older woman named Dr. Patel, listened quietly before asking something that changed everything. She said, "When did you stop choosing yourself?" That question hit me like a freight train. I didn't have an answer. Because somewhere along the line, I had turned love into sacrifice. Every argument, I'd bend first. Every insecurity, I'd swallow it down. Every red flag, I'd repaint it white because I was terrified of being the jealous boyfriend. I thought that made me strong, but it just made me invisible. Over time, I started reclaiming little pieces of myself. I cleaned my apartment, really cleaned it. Not the quick, wipe the counters kind, but the deep clean that feels symbolic. I rearranged furniture, changed the bed sheets, painted a wall. It felt like erasing her fingerprints from my space, one corner at a time. I picked up my old guitar again. It had been sitting in the corner, gathering dust, kind of like the hobbies I'd abandoned to make time for her. I used to love music, used to lose hours just strumming random chords. Now, each note felt like therapy. I started driving 2 long solo drives at night. Windows down, playlist full of songs that hurt in the right way. You know the kind, the ones that make you feel like you're bleeding and healing at the same time. Sometimes I'd park by the lake, sit on the hood of my car, and just breathe. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't trying to fix anyone. I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just existing quietly, peacefully, almost freely. Weeks passed. Lena still texted occasionally, from new numbers or through mutual friends. He wasn't what I thought. I miss you. Can we at least talk once? I didn't reply to a single one. Not because I hated her, but because I finally loved myself enough not to. Forgiveness isn't always about the other person. Sometimes he's about letting go of who you were when they hurt you. One evening, maybe 6 weeks after everything blew up, I stopped by a cafe after work. It was the same one where she and Ethan had been seen together. I hadn't planned it, just ended up there out of habit. The place looked the same. The soft yellow lights, the quiet buzz of conversation, the smell of roasted coffee beans, but it didn't feel the same. It didn't haunt me anymore. I ordered my usual, a black coffee, no sugar, and found a corner seat by the window. I was scrolling through emails when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Hey, man." I turned around. Ethan. He looked rough, hair unkempt, eyes red, shoulders slouched. For a moment, we just stared at each other, 2 men tied together by the same woman, both broken in different ways. I didn't say a word. He gave an awkward, almost ashamed smile. "Guess you heard she left me too." I didn't respond. "She said she needed space," he continued, laughing bitterly. "Funny, right? That's what she said to me right before going back to you once. Guess I should have seen it coming." I looked at him for a long moment before finally saying, "She told me the same thing." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I figured." Silence. He shifted uncomfortably. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry, man. I really am." I stood up, grabbed my coffee, and looked him dead in the eyes. "I don't need your apology." Then I walked past him and out the door. As I stepped outside, the evening air felt colder, cleaner, like a final page turning. I took a deep breath and realized something profound. This story was never about losing her. It was about finding me, because somewhere between the sleepless nights, the anger, the tears, and the silence, I started rediscovering who I was before I let love blur the edges of my identity. I wasn't the guy she broke. I was the guy who survived it. The next few months felt like a new chapter I didn't even know I was ready for. Work got better. My circle got smaller but stronger. I started saying no to things that drained me and yes to things that felt real. I even started dating again, not seriously, just enough to remind myself that connection doesn't have to come with chaos. But here's the thing, I wasn't looking for the one anymore. I was just trying to be the one for myself. One night, I went back through my journal, the same one I'd started during the worst of it. The entries in the beginning were messy, desperate, full of pain. Day 1, I can't stop picturing them together. Day 14, I miss her voice. I hate that I do. Day 30, maybe I deserved it. But by the end, the tone shifted. Day 45, I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. Day 60, the gym feels like therapy now. Day 80, I don't miss her. I miss who I thought she was. And the final entry, day 100, I forgive her. I forgive myself more. A few weeks ago, I found that old box again, the one I'd shoved into the back of the closet. I opened it. Inside were our photos, her sweater, the notes. I held each one for a second, half expecting to feel that rush of pain again. But all I felt was peace. So I took the box, drove to the lake, and one by one, I let the pieces go. Not dramatically, not like in the movies, just quiet, deliberate closure. As I watched the photo of us drift away on the water, I smiled. Not because I was happy it was over, but because I was grateful it happened. Some people come into your life to love you. Others come to teach you. She taught me how much of myself I was willing to give and how much I should never give away again. Now, when people ask about her, I don't flinch. I just say, we had our time, it ended, I learned. And when I think back to the guy who sat in his car whispering, I wish I never met you, I realized something I don't wish that anymore. Because meeting her broke me, but breaking was what finally made me rebuild. You know what's funny? For months after it all ended, I thought the universe owed me closure. Some grand moment where everything would make sense, where she'd say, I'm sorry, and I'd finally exhale all that heaviness I'd been carrying in my chest. But the truth, closure doesn't come with an apology, it comes quietly. On days when you don't even realize it's happening. It had been 7 months since Lena and I broke up. 7 months since I last saw her face. 7 months since the night I whispered to the photo of us, I wish I never met you. And yet, there she was, her name, lighting up my phone like a ghost from a past life. Lena, can we talk? Just once, please. At first, I stared at the message without moving. My chest didn't tighten the way it used to. I didn't feel that mix of anger and longing. It was just still. Empty maybe, but peaceful. I didn't reply right away. I went through my day work, gym, dinner, scrolling aimlessly through Spotify playlists, all while that text sat there. Like a ticking clock I didn't care to stop. By nightfall, I made a decision. Not because I wanted her back, or because I needed answers, but because I was curious. I wanted to see her one last time, not as the woman I loved, but as the woman who taught me how deeply someone could hurt you and still not destroy you. The next evening, we met at the same cafe where she used to drag me for Saturday breakfast, the one with the mismatched chairs and the smell of burnt espresso. I got there first. The barista recognized me and gave a small smile, one of those half sympathetic, half awkward ones that say, yeah, I remember when you two used to sit here. When Lena walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. Her hair was shorter, darker. She looked tired, not in the physical locked sense, but the kind of tired that settles behind your eyes when you've been running from your own guilt too long. She spotted me instantly, hesitated for a moment, then walked over. Hey, she said softly, like a word she hadn't spoken in years. Hey, I replied. My voice didn't shake this time. We sat in silence for a few seconds. I noticed her fidgeting with the cup sleeve, a nervous habit she'd always had. She finally looked up and said, I didn't think you'd actually come. Neither did I. She tried to smile, but it faltered. You look good. I shrugged. Thanks. Been taking care of myself lately. I can tell, she said quietly. There was a pause. Then she took a deep breath, the kind that usually comes before a confession. I owe you the truth, she began. I didn't say anything, just nodded slightly. She went on, voice trembling, but steady enough to sound rehearsed. I never stopped loving Ethan. Not really. I thought I had, but when we started talking again, it felt like unfinished business, and I used you to fill that space. Her words didn't cut like I thought they would. They just landed flat like a truth I already knew but hadn't said out loud yet. I told myself I was doing the right thing, she continued. You were good to me. You made me feel safe, but I wasn't ready for that. I kept trying to convince myself that what I felt for you was enough. She looked down, her voice breaking. When it wasn't, I hated myself, and I hated you for being the reminder of how broken I was. I exhaled slowly, resting my elbows on the table. So why now? I asked. Why tell me this after all this time? Because I couldn't live with the guilt, she said, tears welling up. You didn't deserve what I did to you, and I needed you to know it wasn't your fault. That's when something strange happened. I expected to feel anger, maybe even pity, but instead I felt peace. Pure, undiluted peace. I looked at her, the same person who shattered me, and realized I didn't want her apology anymore. I didn't need her to validate my pain. I had already done that myself. I took a sip of my coffee, set the cup down, and said quietly, You didn't just lose me, Lena. You lost a version of me who would have forgiven you. Her eyes widened slightly, like the words hit deeper than she expected. I don't hate you, I added. I just finally understand that loving you was never supposed to destroy me. And if it did, it's because I let it go on too long. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said, standing up, but that's not for me to fix anymore. When I walked out of that cafe, it wasn't dramatic or cinematic. There was no rain, no music swelling in the background. Just me, stepping into the cool evening air, breathing like it was the first real breath I'd taken in years. I walked down the street, hands in my pockets, feeling lighter than I'd felt in forever. That's when it hit me. Closure isn't about the other person finally saying what you wanted to hear. It's about realizing their words don't hold power over you anymore. The following weeks felt quiet, beautifully quiet. I started journaling again, something I hadn't done since before the relationship. Not the Dear Diary kind, but more like letters to myself. Notes about what I was grateful for, what I learned, what I refused to repeat. I began spending weekends hiking solo, rediscovering what peace sounded like without constant notifications or emotional noise. Work was steady. Friends were good. Life, for once, didn't feel like something I was surviving. It felt like something I was living. Sometimes I'd think about Lena, not with sadness or nostalgia, but with acceptance, like a closed chapter in a book I once loved but outgrew. And Ethan, last I heard, he'd moved cities. Word was, things with Lena ended a few months after our breakup. I didn't care enough to know the details. Some endings write themselves without my help. One night, as I sat on my balcony, laptop open, typing out the last few lines of the story, I realized something. We spend so much time chasing closure, thinking it's a conversation, a confession, a mutual understanding. But real closure, it's the quiet acceptance that not every apology will come, and not every wound needs to be reopened to heal. I looked at the blinking cursor on the screen, smiled, and typed the final line not for her, but for anyone reading this who's still waiting for someone to make it right. If someone makes you question your worth, walk away before they answer it for you. And with that, I closed my laptop. Not just the device, but the story, the chapter, the version of me who once thought love meant losing yourself for someone else. Because now, I know better. Now, I know me. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. We have so many more amazing stories coming your way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to reach 100K subscribers by the end of this year, and we'd love for you to be part of this journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.